To fully support this legislation that's been proposed here tonight by Deputy Kenny. I think it is an attempt to solve a problem that exists there, and you know, there was a lot of talk earlier on about that, and your minister has proposed that it should wait till the end of next year for this to be past second stage, and it could go on. But the reality of the situation is that this bill, if it passes second stage on Thursday, by the time it gets through committee stage and report stage and goes to Shannon and everything else, it'll be well past the end of next year anyway before this bill will be passed and become law. And you know that's the reality. So the fact of delaying it doesn't make any difference. Yeah, go ahead and do what you're doing, and let this bill will progress through the system. And if what you're doing can sort it out, this bill can fall in at any stage. That's no problem at all. But so this idea that you have of holding the bill back until the end of next year and then let everything go forward if you haven't sorted it out, it doesn't stand up, because there will be absolutely nothing done between now and then and dealing with this situation. And you know that, and the Minister knows that, and everybody else here in this House knows that, because what you're talking is just a load of waffle to just get you over the hump of this tonight. I have to say as well that, you know, some of the other members as well and talking here and supporting this bill have said that, you know, that rural Ireland doesn't cause any problems. There doesn't seem to be any problems, and if it does cause problems, they're a lot less than it's been caused by urban areas and stuff like that there. But that's really missing the point. The point is that all effluent is causing the problem, and all effluent has to be dealt with. The fact that it's not been dealt with somewhere else doesn't mean that I shouldn't deal with my effluent and go on. That just doesn't make any sense at all. But there has to be a system that allows people in rural Ireland to actually build and maintain their own system and to go on. And I think what would be far better, and what could be included in this, is actually a system that would inspect the construction of the septic tanks after they're done, because there's absolutely nothing happens in this country. The only time that a septic tank will actually be looked at is during the planning stage and the planning application stage of a development. So that's the only time that the planners and anybody and the environmental health or anybody gets any say in what happens. And then you get a completion certificate that's put in at the end of it, and everybody says everything's grand. There is no inspection to see if that septic tank is built in compliance for the householder themselves, so that they can be sure that the contractor has done it properly. There's nothing of that. And I think a system that would be far better off. Indeed, I think it's a system that's in the 6 counties, where you have 3 inspections. You have an inspection on the foundations, you have an inspection on the roof closing in, and you have an inspection on the septic tank when the building is built. And that would ensure then that you have septic tanks and treatment systems that are compatible and fair for the effluent system that's able to and they're able to manage and able to work. And I think that's something that should be there, as well as allowing the developments to go ahead as well. But I think it's you know, it was also said that it was an unintended consequence of what happened at a stop development in Leitrim. I don't think it was. I think the idea is to stop rural development, because I think the idea is that from a global government point of view is that if they can stop people living in rural areas, well then people will live in towns and everything will be solved. But what you should be doing, if you were serious about that, and what you should be doing, and what I think would be doable, is actually make land available in towns and villages for people to actually go into. Make it available, not giving it over to the private sector, which is what you'll do anyway, and in relation to it, but make land available. The state makes land available. So if somebody, for example, in a rural town or village catchment area wants to build out on their own land, as an alternative, give them land within the town or village. So that makes the town or village viable, but it also keeps the people living in the rural area that they belong to and that they have a belief in and an ownership in, and that's totally makes sense, I believe. And then you combine everybody together. You have the treatment systems together. You can combine your system and have a proper treatment and everything there as well, and everything works. And you maintain the rural areas as well, because we have to do something. We would all like to see people living in the in the actual same town land and the next door to their parents and everything else they got there. But the reason people do that is because they can't afford anything else. and they can't get anything else. And nothing we have done in this House or at any stage will ever try and make that happen for them. So what we should be doing is introducing a system that makes that happen. And until that is done, and it will be a long time waiting for it in this House, so until that is done, I think that Deputy Kenny's legislation is correct, and I think we have to ensure that people can live and facilitate them to live in the rural areas where they are from, and for that reason we should support this legislation and pass it through. And if you want to put forward changes and everything, like, work away on that, because by the time this legislation goes through, all the routine that it has to go through to become law, your system will be in place and there will be no need for it. Thank you.
My Chuck,